Hi there, this is Syn. If you enjoy this content, please comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks. Chapter 2. It was more than a year later that I saw Haldane again. I had got rooms in the Albany by this time, and he turned up there one morning, very early indeed, before breakfast in fact. And if he looked ghastly before, he now looked almost ghostly. His face looked as though it had worn thin, like an oyster shell that has for years been cast up twice a day by the sea on a shore all pebbly. His hands were thin as bird's claws, and they trembled like caught butterflies. I welcomed him with enthusiastic cordiality and pressed breakfast on him. This time, I decided I would ask no questions, for I saw that none were needed. He would tell me. He intended to tell me. He had come here to tell me, and for nothing else. I lit a spirit lamp. I made coffee and small talk for him, and I ate and drank, and waited for him to begin, and it was like this that he began. "I am going," he said, "to kill myself." "Oh, don't be alarmed. I suppose I said or looked something. I shan't do it here or now. I shall do it when I have to, when I can bear it any longer, and I want someone to know why. I don't want to feel that I'm the only living creature who does now, and I can trust you, can't I?" I murmured something reassuring. "I should like you, if you don't mind, to give me your word that you won't tell a soul what I'm going to tell you, as long as I'm alive. Afterwards, you can tell whom you please." I gave him my word. He sat silent, looking at the fire, then he shrugged his shoulders. "It's extraordinary how difficult it is to say it," he said and smiled. "The fact is, you know that beast, George BOLGER." "Yes," I said. "I haven't seen him since I came back. Someone told me he'd gone to some island or other to preach vegetarianism to the cannibals. Anyhow, he's out of the way. Bad luck to him." "Yes," said Haldane, "he's out of the way, but he's not preaching anything. In point of fact, he's dead." "Dead?" was all I could think of to say. "Yes," said he. "It's not generally known, but he is." "What did he die of?" I asked. Not that I cared. The bare fact was good enough for me. You know what an interfering chap he always was. Always knew everything. Heart-to-heart talks, and have everything open and above board. Well, he interfered between me and someone else, told her a pack of lies. Lies? Well, the things were true, but he made lies of them the way he told them, you know. I did. I nodded. And she threw me over and she died, and we weren't even friends. And I couldn't see her before. I couldn't even. Oh my God. But I went to the funeral. He was there. They'd asked him. And then I came back to my rooms, and I was sitting there, thinking, and he came up. He would do. It's just what he would do. The beast. I hope you kicked him out. No, I didn't. I listened to what he'd got to say. He came to say, no doubt it was all for the best, and he hadn't known the things he told her. He'd only guessed. He'd guessed right, damn him. What right had he to guess right? And he said it was all for the best because, besides that, there was madness in my family. He'd found that out too. And is there? If there is, I didn't know it. And that was why it was all for the best. So then I said, There wasn't any madness in my family before, but there is now, and I got hold of his throat. I am not sure whether I meant to kill him. I ought to have meant to kill him. Anyhow, I did kill him. What did you say? I had said nothing. It is not easy to think at once of the tactful and suitable thing to say when your oldest friend tells you that he's a murderer. When I could get my hands out of his throat, it was as difficult as it is to drop the handles of a galvanic battery. He fell in a lump on the hard rack, and I saw what I'd done. How is it that murderers ever get found out? They're careless, I suppose, I found myself saying. They lose their nerve. I didn't, he said. I never was calmer. I sat down in the big chair and looked at him and thought it all out. He was just off to that island. I knew that. He'd said goodbye to everyone. He told me that. There was no blood to get rid of, or only a touch at the corner of his black mouth. He wasn't going to travel in his own name because of interviewers. Mr. Somebody Something's luggage would be unclaimed and his cabin empty. No one would guess that Mr. Somebody Something was Sir George Visger, FRS. It was all as plain as plain. There was nothing to get rid of but the man. No weapon, no blood, and I got rid of him all right. How? He smiled cunningly. No, he said. That's where I draw the line. It's not that I doubt your word, but if you talk in your sleep or had a fever or anything, no. As long as you don't know where the body is, don't you see I'm alright, even if you could prove that I've said all this, which you can't. It's only the wanderings of my poor unhinged brain, see? I saw, and I was sorry for him, and I did not believe that he had killed Visger. He was not the sort of man who kills people, so I said, yeah, old chap, I see. Now look here, let's go away together, you and I, travel a bit and see the world, and forget all about that beastly chap. His eyes lighted up at that. Why, he said, you understand, you don't hate me as ring from me. I wish I'd told you before, you know, when you came and I was packing all my sticks. But it's too late now. Too late? Not a bit of a bit, I said. Come, we'll pack our traps and be off tonight, out into the unknown. Don't you know? That's where I'm going, he said. You wait. When you've heard what's been happening to me, you won't be so keen to go traveling about with me. But you've told me what's been happening to you, I said, and the more I thought about what he had told me, the less I believed it. No, he said slowly. No, I've told you what happened to him. What happened to me is quite different. Did I tell you what his last words were? Just when I was coming at him, before I'd got his throat, you know, he said, look out, you'll never be able to get rid of the body. Besides, hunger's sinful. You know that way he had, like a tract on its hind legs. So afterwards, I got thinking of that. But I didn't think of it for a year, because I did get rid of his body all right. And then I was sitting in that comfortable chair, and I thought, hello, it must be about a year now since that. And I pulled out my pocketbook and went to the window to look at a little almanac I carry about. It was getting dusk, and sure enough it was a year to the day. And then I remembered what he said, and I said to myself, not much trouble I would get in rid of your body, you brute. And then I looked at the hearth rack, and he screamed suddenly and very loud. I can tell you. No, I can't. My man opened the door. He wore a smooth face over his wriggling curiosity. Did you call, sir? Yes, I lied. I want you to take a note to the bank and wait for an answer. When he was got rid of, Haldane said, "Where was I?" "You were just telling me what happened after you looked at the almanac. What was it?" "Nothing much," he said, laughing softly. "Oh, nothing much, only that I glanced at the hair rack, and there he was, the man I'd killed a year before." "Don't try to explain, or I shall lose my temper." The door was shut. The windows were shut. He hadn't been there a minute before. And he was there then. That's all. Hallucination was one of the words I stumbled among. "Exactly what I thought," said Haldane, more triumphant than ever. "But there are limits, you know, limits." So then I thought someone had got him out, the real him, and stuck him there to frighten me, while my back was turned, and I went to the place where I'd hidden him, and he was there. Ah, just as I'd left him, only it was a year ago. There are two of him there now." "My dear chap," I said, "this is simply comic." "Yeah," he said, "it is amusing. I find so myself, especially in the night when I wake up and think of it. I hope I shan't die in the dark, Winston. That's one of the reasons why I think I shall have to kill myself. I could be sure then of not dying in the dark." "Is that all?" I asked, feeling sure that it must be. "No," said Haldane at once. "That's not all. He's come back to Rio again. In a railway carriage it was. I'd been asleep. When I woke up, there he was lying on the seat opposite me. Looked just the same. I pitched him out on the line in Red Hill Tunnel. And if I see him again, I'm going out myself. I can't stand it. It's too much. I'd sooner go. Whatever the next world's like, there aren't things in it like that. We leave them here, in graves and boxes. And you think I'm mad, but I'm not. You can help me. No one can help me." He knew, you see. He said I shouldn't be able to get rid of the body. And I can't get rid of it. I can't. I can't. He knew. He always did know things that he couldn't know. But I'll cut his game short. After all, I've got the ace of trumps, and I'll play it on his next trick. I give you my word of honor, Winston, that I'm not mad." "My dear old man," I said, "I don't think you're mad, but I do think your nerves are very much upset. Mine are a bit too. Do you know why I went to India? It was because of you and her. I couldn't stay and see it, though I wished for your happiness and all that. You know I did. And when I came back, she and you, let's see it out together," I said. "You won't keep fancying things if you've got me talk to. And I always said you weren't half a bad old duffer." "She liked you," he said. "Oh yeah," I said. "She liked me."